It feels like no matter what, Ubisoft just simply cannot get the win. Assassin's Creed has always been a massive title for the company. It is arguably their biggest game. It dates back to 2007, and there are 13 installments, each releasing on an almost yearly basis. In total, the games has sold over 200 million copies, making it an extremely valuable franchise. Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag alone sold 15 million copies. Assassin's Creed Valhalla pulled in the same numbers, while Odyssey sold just over 10 million. Clearly, Assassin's Creed is a success, and thus, naturally, all eyes would be on the next installment. Thus, enter Shadows. From the beginning, the game has been drowning in controversy. However, the biggest point of contention has been the leading man himself. Over the last few years, Ubisoft has been great at highlighting certain cultures and showcasing their world. While they are not known to be historically accurate, they do at least get some of the basics correct. Thus, when they announced that they would be going to Japan for the samurai, most expected to see Asian people from Japan. Shocked, we were to find out that they decided to showcase a man of African descent. Now, his place in history has been heavily debated. Regardless if he holds any real value in Japanese history, most feel that when you choose to highlight Japanese culture, it should showcase their people. Now, I will admit that I have always been of two minds about this. I recently watched Shogun on Disney, and there they depicted a white man alongside samurai culture. However, they are doing it in a great way. They depict him as an out-of-place barbarian who slowly gets accepted. Ubisoft, on the other hand, is trying to convince its audience that this is some historically accurate story they are telling. There is a way to tell this story that can be interesting. I just do not trust the motives behind this studio. Regardless of all the original issues with this game, they have also made headlines recently due to a couple of controversies. However, before we get into those, we need to talk about the biggest news, and that is the fact that the title will once again be delayed. In a statement, they said, "We want to extend our heartfelt thanks to our incredible fans and dedicated teams for your unwavering support since our announcement in September to further refine and polish Assassin's Creed Shadows. Since November, we've been thrilled to share our progress through gameplay overviews, and the overwhelming excitement has truly inspired us. Each week has brought valuable feedback from our community. While we've already made remarkable strides, we believe a few additional weeks are needed to implement that feedback and ensure an even more ambitious and engaging Day 1 experience. Accordingly, the new release date is March 20th, 2025. We remain committed to delivering a high-quality, immersive experience by an ongoing dialogue between our players and development teams. We know you're eager to learn more about Assassin's Creed Shadows, and we're eager to learn more about Assassin's Creed Shadows, and we're excited to share that more updates will be coming your way very soon." Now, most people knew that this delay was going to come. However, many were shocked that they were only pushing it back by a month and thus were wondering what the real motives were. Obviously, they are not going to still be working much on that game in a month. It is clear to most that there are too many new games dropping in February, and Ubisoft does not want to compete. The game is trending in a negative direction, and not competing with other titles will give it a better chance to sell well. It is worth pointing out that the delay of this game is also being surrounded by a bit of controversy. No matter what they do, it just feels like they are always tone deaf to the culture of Japan. So, the new release date for this title, as has been stated, will be March 20th, 2025. This will mark the 20th year of the Tokyo subway sarin attack. This attack resulted in 13 deaths, over 50 severe injuries, and temporary vision impairment for nearly 1,000 people. Now, I am sure this was an honest mistake. The truth is, you cannot keep track of every attack that is happening all the time. I am not sure how this attack is viewed every year by Japan, but Ubisoft should at least do a better job of doing their research. It was not too long ago that Ubisoft also had to apologize because they included a World War II landmark and Alwa item that you are not allowed to commercialize. There is one group, however, who has made it their identity to defend everything Ubisoft is doing. The gamer wrote an article titled, "They wouldn't want an African Assassin's Creed either," clearly insinuating that people will not want a black character. Now, I will be honest, if at this point they did do an Assassin's Creed Africa, there probably will be pushback. However, it won't be because fans do not want an African character. It will be because at this point, it is very obvious how Ubisoft is using social issues and identity to pander. This idea that gamers are simply racist and sexist and resist all people of color or women is silly. If that is your takeaway, then you are not listening to what people are really pushing back against. In the article from The Gamer, they state, "An African Assassin's Creed would be cool. A story set in the heart of Africa with savannas and tribal culture. A base not covered by the existence of origins." However, these same people crying foul at a black man in Japan would largely be making the same complaints about a black man in Africa. It's not the historical inaccuracy, mostly because Yasuke's presence in Japan is historically accurate. It's the wokeness. There are almost as many complaints about the other protagonist, Naoi, despite her being Japanese because she's a woman. It is funny how all these racist gamers never have an issue when it is Cyberpunk or GTA or Call of Duty that includes people of color. It is almost like they do not have an issue with representation and instead just do not like when it is obvious how the studio is using identity politics to pander. The existence of a black person or a woman is not pandering. Everyone deserves to be represented in video games. However, you can smell the motives from studios a mile away, and gamers will always push back. I am sure there will be some pushback to an Assassin's Creed Africa, and those people you can rightfully call out for being racist if the attacks they are pushing are attached to the race of the character. However, let's not pretend that this is the larger part of the gaming community or why they are resisting. It is the hypocrisy that most people are simply tired of. Let me give you an example. The Gamer states in their article, people have a problem with the protagonist in Shadows because he is black. However, they draw the conclusion that this is silly because he is a real person that existed in history. So let's say that they do make an Assassin's Creed Africa, and the lead protagonist that they choose to highlight is white. Do you think that the gamer would be defending that? What if I told you that the white person that they are depicting in Assassin's Creed Africa was historically accurate? Do you think they would be defending it then? The answer would still be no. They would be crying for weeks, shitting themselves so much that they would have to evacuate California all over again due to the smell. Again, I am not completely against what Shadows is doing. I think there is a way that you can have a black protagonist and make it a good story. Most people are pushing back against the hypocrisy and not against the protagonist. We all know that Ubisoft is doing this for one reason only, and the media is defending it for that reason as well. Like I said, I just watched a show with a white man in Japan playing out in a very similar story to what Shadows is trying to do. I know that there is a way that you can tell this story. I am also not stupid in thinking that no one has a problem with the race. I know that there are some people who simply do not like any women or people of color in video games. I have heard these people say it myself. I reject those people, and I reject the people who think this way. They deserve to be called racist, and people other than white men deserve to be in video games. The thing is, they are in video games, and they are represented. There is plenty of examples. People are pushing out against a handful of studios that are very obviously trying to divide fans and make a profit on the backs of underrepresented groups and social issues they pretend to care about. We all know that the moment the social climate shifts, they will drop these issues immediately. We have already seen that happening with other businesses. Walmart was all about the trans rights. Now they are removing everything and refusing to fund any of these issues. We have seen the same with Nissan, and there are plenty more examples. Disney is all about inclusivity, but just removed a trans character from their movie. We all know what this is and what they are doing.